We're good.
I'm just going?
Yep.
Okay. I'm from City Mission in Washington, Pennsylvania, and we are a Christ-centered homeless shelter that exists to share Christ, to shelter, to heal, and to restore the homeless to independent living without discrimination, with a vision of ending homelessness one life at a time. Currently, we have about 120 men, women, and children living at our facility, most of whom are going through our year-long program. This is everything from making sure that they are at the doctor appointments they need to be at, that they are receiving counseling and case management from our agency, that they are involved in the classes that we have, and whatever is needed for each individual case. We have a lot of residents who are veterans, male and female. The number has increased over the years to the point where we decided to pursue building a veteran shelter on the Mission property. Currently, we are just beginning the phases of the financial, raising the finances to make this happen. But we are still have veterans that are in our program now. They're going through the regular, if I can use that term, program that we have, receiving the same care that we have. In addition, we also work with over 30 agencies, not just in Washington, but anywhere. We work with any veterans that need a specific service. We're going to get them where they need to be to talk to the people that they need to talk to. And I can come back to this a little bit, but I want to tell you what we're looking at with our veterans shelter, which this is going to be not just a shelter for veterans to live in, but it's also going to be a very comprehensive and extensive program. When the shelter is built, which we are hoping to see happen by 2016, we've gotten approval from the city. We will be knocking down a couple of our older buildings and building, it's looking like it's going to be a 4-story building. The first floor will be our clinic and some offices, possibly classrooms. Second floor will be classrooms, offices, whatever's needed. And the top 2 floors will be a 22-bed facility for male veterans to begin with. We know that we have female veterans, but our policy is that we never integrate male and female because 2 unhealthy relationships do not make a healthy relationship. So eventually we see that will probably happen, but for now we're going to be focusing on male residents. And what's going to happen when a veteran comes, once we've got this shelter open and the program going, a veteran will come to the Mission, will go through the interview, the intake process to get into the Mission, and then first step, of course, is they're accepted into the actual Mission program. When they're in there for a period of time, a lot of the details obviously have not been worked out yet. But at a certain point, what I see happening is they're probably going to have to go through some of our classes, which are everything from finances to hygiene classes to whatever is needed. And we are in the process of upgrading the classes that we have. But somewhere along the way, they will be permitted to interview to go into the veterans shelter. If they are accepted, then they will enter a 2-phase or 2-semester period where they will no longer be integrated with the regular residents that we have, the everyday residents, whatever you want to say, but they will begin a process of being involved in what will be called our Veterans Vocational Center. Currently on our property, we have a donation center and a recycling center. We're going to be shutting those down, moving them off campus to a new facility that's 3 times the size of what we have now. And in that facility is where we will be training veterans for life skills. And I'm talking about things like auto detailing, upholstery, whatever the space allows us to do. And what we see happening is that our veterans that go through the program, they're going to be there for 2 semesters, as I said, and they'll go through working and learning the skills at the vocational center. And then upon completion of the 2nd semester, they will go through a formal graduation ceremony. We're talking the cap and gown and the diploma, the whole bit. So we're very excited about that happening. And at the end of this time period, then there will be at least 3 options for them. One will be that they will remain as employees of City Mission at that Veterans Vocational Center, and they will be working on training the next generation of veterans that are coming in. The other possibility is additional classes. We can get them plugged in to online classes or to local colleges or something where they can get a higher education. And third is that they would learn from whatever they learn at the facility, they would take that out as a marketable job and be able to get something. Our goal is to restore them to their last good, best place that they were at, and that's when they graduated from basic training. They had the whole world ahead of them. They were physically, mentally, emotionally ready to take on everything. So we want to provide the resources that will get them back to being in that position. Our veterans shelter is actually, the whole program is going to be called Operation Renew Honor. So we're going to restore them to where they were, we're going to retrain them, and then we're going to redeploy them back out into society. And we also see this as replenishing our resources. Right now, our donation center and our recycling center actually bring revenue into the mission. But because we now are relying on volunteers, very minimal staff, a couple of other obstacles that we have, we're not able to get everything that we should be able to get out of running the largest recycling center in Washington County. So what we're seeing is that when we move to these larger facilities, and as these veterans are learning to do, we're talking about the auto detailing, other things like that, but it's also as simple as we're the only place that recycles televisions. So right now, we sell televisions as just the whole unit, so much per unit. When we get to a larger facility, the veterans will be able to strip these TVs down, and we'll be able to generate more revenue. You'll have all your copper, all your plastic, all your wiring, everything, and we'll generate more revenue. So we see a whole lot of things that are going to make this Veterans Vocational Center be not only self-sufficient, but it's going to generate enough revenue to keep it self-sustaining, bring more people on board, and also bring revenue back into City Mission for additional programming that we're hoping to be able to do and to sustain what we have now. There's so many possibilities of what we are doing with this clinic. I mean, with this center and with the dormitory. One of the good things that's happening is, as we're beginning to collaborate with more people to help our veterans, is several agencies have expressed a desire and a willingness to come to City Mission and to actually meet with the clients to discuss whatever their needs are. We're just revamping our legal clinic that we have, but obviously we can't meet the needs of everyone, so we're hoping that there'll be agencies that can help our veterans with their legal needs, with whatever needs that there are, that they will come to the mission and meet with them, scheduled appointments to help them with whatever their issues are, whatever's keeping them from being able to be independent again, to live independently. The people that we're seeing are the ones that they're not struggling with having their utilities turned off, or they can't make a rent payment or a house payment. We're talking about men who are living out on the streets and literally in camps and in broken buildings and broken down vehicles, and just, it's incredible, their campgrounds. And for whatever reason, they are feeling safe coming into City Mission. We do provide a very safe environment. As I said before, we are Christ-centered. A lot of them prefer that, and that this is where they feel safe, this is where they feel secure. We've tried to get them to other agencies, and they don't want to leave. They feel very secure because they're broken. When they come, they are so broken. Yes?
What is the average age?
Very interesting. When I first started there quite a few years ago, the first person I met who was living there, who was a serviceman, was from Vietnam. We are now, the first time one came in from Desert Storm and Desert Shield was amazing. Now they're coming in very young as their early 20s, and they're coming in with addiction issues. Before, the gentleman I was talking about before from Vietnam era, he was just homeless. He wasn't using drugs. I can't say that he didn't when he was in Vietnam, but that was not his issue. He was literally homeless and had nowhere to go.
He was homeless all that time?
I'm going to tell you the truth is that he has a lot of issues. He went through the trauma of Vietnam. He went through the trauma of when he came back from Vietnam, and he is back to living on the streets. City Mission has a program called We Care Street Outreach that takes medical and Samaritan care into the streets of Washington to these camps that I'm talking about. This gentleman is back in the camps. You would never, ever know that he is homeless. He is dressed immaculately. There is never anything offensive about the way he looks, the way he smells, anything. I don't know where he cleans up at. I don't know where he does his laundry. But he's just been so traumatized, and he will not receive help. We also have an emergency cold weather shelter, the only one in Washington County. And in some of those very, very cold days, I went out to where he was and begged him to come in. And he was willing to come in as long as I reassured him, if I did it once, I did it 10 times. Yes, you can leave in the morning. Come in, get a hot meal, get a shower, you can wash your clothes, warm place to sleep, get a hot breakfast before you go out, and then come back the next night if it's cold. So there's a lot of issues, and it's just someone who this is the only way he will allow us to help him. So fortunately, we do have that program that goes out into the streets to find them. So as I said, right now they're currently under our regular program that we have, which is a year-long, very comprehensive program, very structured. Actually, from the time they get up in the morning until lights out at night, it's very structured what they have to do, where they have to be. A lot of them, not everyone, but a lot of them come in with the drug and alcohol addiction. So 90 meetings in 90 days is pretty much a requirement. So even though once they get past dinner time, they're still going to have requirements of things they have to do in the evening. Very, very structured as far as even to go out to one of their meetings or to the drugstore, to a doctor's appointment, just to go for a walk. They have to sign out their name, where they're going, time out, and time back in. In order to go visit family on the weekend, they have to qualify for a pass. We have a panel, disciplinary panel, if there's any type of write-ups for breaking any of the rules or causing any problems like that, then it has to be approved for them to go on this pass. And then there's, of course, the drug test when they get back in, and there's just they're checked periodically, random checks as far as that goes. When they're at the mission, everything is provided for them. They get their food, they get their clothing, they get their shelter. As I said, they meet with a counselor and a case manager, very extensive classes set up. We also have a program called, it's where they can go out into an apartment. Once they've gone through the program and they qualify, they can get an apartment for 5 years, and the rent is based on the sliding scale based on their income. But the benefit between just leaving the mission and going out and getting an apartment and going through this Shelter Plus Care program is the fact that they are accountable to their case manager from City Mission weekly. The case manager will visit the apartment to make sure that they are doing everything they're supposed to be doing. Someone actually had a fish tank confiscated because the landlord said no fish, so the fish is now living at the City Mission. But I mean, it wasn't enough. Because we need to keep up the. I know a fish. I understand dogs and cats. Fish, I don't quite understand. But we do want to keep the good rapport with the landlords. But the main concern is: are they in any type of danger, or are they doing okay? We're working on developing an alumni program so that they will have a constant contact. Forever, former residents are stopping in and saying hi, they're coming to volunteer, they're even being hired there. If we have a position available, they are absolutely permitted to apply for it. And a lot of them are very good. We're not talking just people that really haven't done anything with their life. We're talking about people who have had high education and had good skills, but for whatever the reason, whether bad things happen to people when people make bad decisions. But we're all about forgiveness and starting over again at the mission.
So I do have a quick question.
Sure.
So the 22 beds for the veterans.
Yes.
What if the veteran has children with him? Like, would
At this point, we are not able to take families, and that's a problem mission-wide because we are a very limited space. We're about a quarter of a city block that we do all this on, and we don't have the space or the facility to be able to build a facility that will house even if a family comes in.
Okay.
We're not able to help them. If a mother comes with her children, yes, because the women live in, it's actually bedrooms. It can be, 4 women in a bedroom, or it can be a woman with her children in the bedroom. The men live in dormitory style, so a man with custody of his children, we don't have a place to address that at this time. We know it's a need. We were trying, the president and the board of directors were trying to decide what direction to go, because do we help families? Do we build more rooms for women? Do we help veterans? And it just, everything fell in place to do this veteran shelter. So that's the first issue. But that we're not able to discuss. Anybody else have any other questions? I will say we have a medical clinic on our property. We have a full-time nurse, coordinator of the clinic, or part-time nurse, and we have 3 of the 4 weeks of the month, we have a volunteer doctor that comes in and actually holds a clinic. And the primary purpose of the clinic is to, when they first come in, is there some underlying issue that needs to be taken care of right away, high blood pressure, diabetes, anything like that. We're right across the street from the county jail. So someone that's been in the county jail for a year, been given a blood pressure pill every day, comes out with 0 pills. So they come over to our mission, and our nurse coordinates with our volunteer doctors to get that person enough meds until he can be seen by either one of our clinic doctors or by if they have a PCP. If it's someone that's a veteran, what can we do to help right away? Do we need to get them to Veterans Hospital? What do we need to do to take care of the first issue? And then once they get those emergency things taken care of, critical things taken care of, then the primary purpose of our medical clinic is to get every person insurance, whatever it is they're entitled to, whether it's through the VA or Medicare or SSDI or whatever it is, so that everybody can have a primary care physician.
Will you take other residents from different counties?
We don't care where they come from, and I can tell you that since I've been there, we've had someone from the Republic of Peru, from Mexico, from the state of California. We just, not too long ago, had one of our board members have a friend of a family member who had a drug addict in Virginia, and the board member actually drove down to Virginia, picked up the person, and brought him back. We are actually Washington City Mission doing business as City Mission, because people were thinking they had to either live in the city of Washington or the county of Washington, and we actually have been confused with Washington, D.C. So formal documents will show Washington, D.C., but everything else shows City Mission, because we want people to come to us. We don't want them to think we can't help them. We have Hidden Treasures resale thrift stores in 3 different counties, and our goal, another goal or vision that we have, is to get a mini mission model in each one of those stores, so that short-term help we can give people where it's not involved overnight. Maybe someone needs a counselor or needs help doing a resume or something simple like that, that we'll be able to help at our stores, but we haven't been able to get that up and running yet. It's just not enough staff to do everything that needs to be done and should be done, So there's a lot of good things in the future. There's a lot of good things right now for our veterans that are there, and we thoroughly care about everybody that comes to us. It's family at City Mission. It's absolutely family. I have spent a lot of Thanksgivings there rather than with my adult kids because I say I want to go with my other family. As I said, former residents come back and they come in the office, and when you just see their smile and you hear their story that they're doing well, then it's just the motivation to keep on going. So, any other questions?
What do you do for people if you can't help them, if there's no room?
We have a directory that we use, that we call different places or have them call in our presence. The problem is women do not want to go out of the city of Washington. There's a lot of places that women can live and come to in the city of Pittsburgh and the surrounding area. They don't want to leave that area. If they won't go, there's nothing we can do, but we will help them call to find some place that will take them. A lot of times they'll just say, never mind, I'm going back to, whether it's the parents or the boyfriend or whatever it is. We struggle more with finding places for men because that's a capacity almost everywhere. Because we are a member of the AGRM, Association of Gospel Rescue Missions, we can work with a lot of other rescue missions down in Fairmont, West Virginia, or Newcastle, or Erie, or even here in Pittsburgh with the one you have here. So we can work with other places to try and get them there. And we've worked with Salvation Army too, because they have a facility up in Erie that can take some people. So we do our best to get them somewhere. And if they want to go on a waiting list for the mission, if they want to go somewhere else temporarily and then come back to City Mission, then we love that too. As I said, 120 people there, but we have 4 dorms that house about 56 men. The other men are living on mattresses, sleeping on mattresses on the floor in our chapel. Our chapel has chairs that stack, so in the evening, and especially during the cold weather with our emergency shelter, there's always mattresses on the floor. We provide clean, fresh bedding every day for them, and we have a laundry facility where all the bedding's done so they get clean sheets the next night too. But that's where we're at because we're out of space.
Any questions from anybody? Katie, you have any questions?
No, I think I'm good.
Yes, thank you.